and welcome back to the Hoppy Huddle podcast. And you may be wondering, if you're watching on video, why in the world I am dressed with a giant bear hat. And that is because we are in celebration of the glorious victory of my Baylor Bears in the rivalry over the TCU Horned Frogs. We haven't beat the Horned Frogs in 5 years. It's long overdue, and so I am quite thrilled to have gotten that victory. And last second walk-off field goal, the students stormed the field. It was a blackout, apparently great atmosphere, lots of recruits were there. It was a great day to watch that. I wish I was at the game, but I wasn't able to get there. But just a little rivalry victory. I got my Big 12 champions shirt on because they also honored the Art Briles teams at halftime of the game.
We couldn't say that word. There's 2 words anymore. Art Briles.
Oh yeah, he was at the game.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, he was there. They didn't bring him on the field though. But all the players wore CAB, Coach Art Briles shirts.
Is that what it's good for? I was wondering. Okay, that makes.
Yeah. So that was certainly interesting. It's good to see them connect with the players and stuff, and kind of because that's what good programs do is they you build those relationships with the good players of old, and that's have them on the sideline every once in a while. It's good for morale. It's good for recruiting. It's good for a lot of stuff. See, hey, this is our history. Despite the things that occurred during that time. But I'll go ahead after that abrupt intro and take off this helmet. Yeah, I think we got a good show coming up for y'all.
We do. Dare we say that Dave Aranda may have saved his job?
Dave Aranda is no longer on the hot seat, in my opinion. If he can keep on winning and keep the recruiting class and nothing falls apart, I think it's pretty likely that he's around next year.
I mean, that seat went from major hot to probably very cool. And they may not win all 3 games left. I mean, they're going to Morgantown, which has always been a bugaboo for them. But I think it's a real possibility for this team, if not 8-4. I mean, that's going to be a bowl game. Keep the recruiting class, and all of a sudden, and you've got Sawyer Robinson. And dare we say Sawyer Robinson, second best quarterback in the Big 12?
He is the second best quarterback in the Big 12. He right now is playing like a top 10 quarterback in the country.
I would think so. Name 9
First of all, maybe that's partially due to the fact that we've had some insane quarterback drop-off and QB struggles all across the nation. So there's not that many great quarterbacks right now. But Sawyer Robinson is certainly one of them, and he put on a clinic last night for sure.
And I know people listen to this podcast are going, boy, why are they starting Baylor? But anyway, no, and I don't think people are paying attention to this Baylor offense all of a sudden. Slow start to the beginning of the year, but this offense is cooking now.
It's scoring 40 points a game now.
Yeah, and they're exciting to watch, and real fun offense to pay attention to. But anyway, we can get on to the bigger games and more.
Sorry, games. Baylor grad here, gotta plug my.
Yeah. No.
Got to plug my team.
No, it's been a fun team to watch. And, they lost to a few teams early in the season, but the teams they lost to were all the teams at the top of the conference. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Including an excruciating loss to Colorado, who all of a sudden, the Big 12 being the Big 12 title game, are looking pretty good.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the Colorado-Indiana playoff game is going to do numbers.
So, yes.
Just wait.
Serious business team.
So. Even better, Colorado, Miami. The numbers that would do.
That would be.
Yep. And we're not even talking about we could get a Notre Dame, Miami in the playoff. We'll talk about playoff scenarios on Wednesday because I don't know if you're aware, something huge is happening on Tuesday night. It's going to affect people from all across the country. There's all sorts of conspiracies about special interests getting involved in the voting process. And, of course, we're talking about the college football playoff ranking show that is being dropped on Tuesday night. Nothing else is happening on Tuesday of any significance.
No. We're going to see where people who are bought and paid for support their interest on live national television. We're talking about SEC.
The two powerful parties. Yeah. And they're the SEC and the Big Ten.
Exactly. Yes. But we'll break it down for you on our Wednesday night podcast. So not only we break down the coming week, but we'll break down our thoughts on the initial playoff rankings. And we'll go through this each week until we get to the final rankings on Sunday, December, I guess it's 8th, I believe, is the final rankings and it will determine the 12-team playoffs. So we got a few weeks out.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that we're 4 or 5 weeks from the playoffs being announced.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I can't believe, dude, I'm almost starting to get sad. That's the problem with the playoff rankings is as soon as they come around, I'm immediately like, oh, we're getting towards the end.
No. Yeah, you're starting to get to some schedules. You look at some of them, they only got 2 or 3 tough games left, a couple of games that matter for some of these teams. So I was looking ahead at some schedules. I'm like, man, this team has 2 tough games left, and that's it. It's do or die time for some of these teams. And we'll look ahead to the week coming up this Saturday. We've got a big matchup with Ole Miss and Georgia. That's an important game, especially for Ole Miss if they want to keep their hopes alive. Well, let's look back at last week.
Yeah.
We had 7 ranked teams lost. Some of them may have done their chances in last week. Where do you want to start, Jake?
Oh man, I don't even know. I think we got to start out with the big boy that is, which seems like forever ago, but it was the big noon game, and that is Ohio State at Penn State. Penn State with a record sellout crowd with all the momentum. Penn State finally has a quarterback after like 6 years of trying, and they've got the defense. And Ohio State's injured and on the ropes. And Ohio State struggled and they still can't beat Ohio State. Penn State they run up against the wall. Penn State has like the opposite problem that like Lincoln Riley teams have, where they have a bunch of beef and no skill. I feel like if you mashed USC and Penn State together into one team, you'd have like a tier 1 playoff contender, but separately, like they just can't get, and there are obviously different levels of bad between those two teams. And Penn State's certainly not a bad team. They'll probably still make the playoff, but they just can't get over the Ohio State hump. And
8 losses in a row.
Honestly, yeah, 8 in a row. They should have won this game. Ohio State gave the game away. The pick 6 at the beginning. You go up 10-0. At this point, the rate your defense is, you're like, if you just score like twice more, maybe 3 times, like you get to like, 20. First of all, the 4 down stand at the goal line. Congrats to Ohio State's defense. We had like kind of, dogged them a little bit. That was a great stand by them, and they really bowed up when they needed to. But if you're Penn State, you're so mad that you got down to the goal line twice and came away with 0 points, the interception and the 4 downs. But the thing is, it's like there's nothing aside from like, in-game coaching decisions, which you can Monday morning quarterback all you want. There's not anything structurally with the Penn State program that like you can really critique, besides maybe they need some more receivers, but like there's still a really solid program. So anybody who's like James Franklin's not the guy, like needs to get their head out of their butt and realize that 90%, look at teams with similar or better resources that would love to be in Penn State's position. Florida State, Auburn, Oklahoma, USC, all those teams would kill to have James Franklin right now. So while this is demoralizing for Penn State, or to be in the position where James Franklin's program is, right now,
maybe so. Yes,
yeah. I don't know about the direct coach, but like to be in the position that Penn State's been in for the last 5 years, like all those programs would happily trade spots with them. So you got to have some sort of perspective as a Penn State fan, even though I know you don't want to hear it, right?
Yeah, but at what point do the Penn State fans start to get a little frustrated with this, and that, hey, we always beat the teams we should, but we just can't beat the teams ahead of us. The Ohio States or the Michigans, and eventually the Oregons. I mean, at some point, Franklin's got to beat some teams ahead of him to get them over that hump. And I mean, how long to tolerate this? I mean, forever? I just don't know that that's the case.
Yeah, I think
because he's just not.
It's just like
he could beat all the teams. He always beats the teams he should. He can never beat the teams that are ranked higher than him.
I just don't think they're that. I don't think they're that far apart as programs. Like, okay, if Penn State gets in on the 4th and goal, are we having this conversation or are we praising James Franklin?
That's the case, but we're going 8-10 years now. Look at the record. He's won. What's he 2 or 1 in whatever against teams ranked higher than him?
Yes, that's true, but. I mean, we had the same problem with Harbaugh for like a long time, for like 6 years,
for
right?
A few years, and then Harbaugh started just pounding Ohio State for 3 straight years.
Eventually, after he got the coordinator hires, right?
We've been through a lot of coordinators at Penn State.
Just because they haven't, though, doesn't mean they can't. To steal a phrase from
Geez.
Josh Pate.
Yes. I hear you, but it's been a long. You say
Franklin's
that for
a great
program
program builder. I think, if those teams played again in the playoff, there's a possibility Penn State wins it.
Again, Ohio State's got too much talent on this team. I think you play on a neutral field, and I think Ohio State wins that game by more points. I'm still not convinced. The talent level is just better at Ohio State this year.
Yeah, but I don't get the James Franklin hate. Like, he'll probably break through at some point, is my guess.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I think this was a great game for Jim Knowles and the defense at Ohio State. They basically kept Penn State in check the entire time.
Yeah.
Thought it was a decent game for Chip Kelly and the offense. I mean, they did what they needed to do. That Penn State's defense is not an easy defense to play. That's a tough environment. Should have been a whiteout game, but we won't get into that. Thank you, Big Noon on Fox. See, the Big Noon, the whiteout game is this week's game against Washington. Did you see where it was going to be? On
Washington
theaters? IMAX theaters. Did you see NBC is going to show it? Yes, they're going to show it in IMAX theaters across the country.
Huh?
Yes, crazy. I know. Anyway.
I mean, okay. I honestly could kind of get behind that.
Yeah, anyway.
A little bit.
But, I mean, this was a good win for Ryan Day. Keep the critics at bay a little bit. Now, I mean, this Big Ten race is basically three teams. Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. We'll get to Oregon and Indiana a little bit. But Ohio State's, is doing what it needs to do, and we're setting up for that showdown with Indiana in, a week or two, which is going to be exciting.
Oh, I can't wait.
I believe those words came out of my mouth.
Yeah, the marquee matchup to determine the Big 12 championship berth, Ohio State versus Indiana. I hope so badly that Indiana wins. Like, I hope that Kurt Cignetti the entire season has just been like cooking up all of these like great plays to just unleash on Ohio State. And I don't know. Will be a great game, but I cannot wait.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
Well, you want to stay in the Big Ten and talk about those other two teams?
Yeah, let's talk about. Wait, what game is this?
Let's talk about Oregon, Michigan.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know it meant Oregon or Indiana, but
Oregon went into Michigan. Preseason we would have expected that to have been a real game of the day. Also,
yeah,
the luster's off Michigan. They're going nowhere this year. They may not even make a bowl at this point. Beat the tar out of them. Gabriel was efficient as always. Oregon was 10 of 15 on third downs. Really couldn't stop Oregon at all. Just a solid performance. Oregon looked and feels like the most complete team in the country at this point. Solid on both sides of the ball. Really can do whatever they want offensively. With all the teams, the ups and downs of all these teams, and we'll get to the teams that we think were good, Georgia. But this team, to me, that just feels like the best team in the country. And they Big House anytime is tough, and I think it was a good game for them.
I agree. This was, there was a couple moments where you're like, had a different team been there, you were like that, and they maybe had a chance. I think they cut it to like one score in the third quarter. But like the entire time you're watching this game, you're just like, it just looks like different levels of athletes on the field. Like it looked like when Alabama plays like Kentucky, which it just both sides kind of knew how it was going to go before the game even started. And then Michigan never really had any belief, and Oregon never really had any doubts.
Yeah, and we don't have any more tests for Oregon. It's I think they've got Maryland, Wisconsin, and Washington left. I don't expect to see any slip ups from them. I expect them to be in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Who they play is going to be interesting.
Indiana blew out Michigan State. This was, that we can finally retire the stat that they trot out at the beginning of every Indiana game. Where like they have never trailed a single snap in any of the games because they got down 10-0, and then they proceeded to score 47 unanswered points in just a stomping. I'm convinced at this point, like, I don't know what kind of cocktail of transfers they assembled there at Indiana. Is either they just like hit on a bunch of really good players, like which they do have great players, but like either they just happen to get like a bunch of 5-star caliber players that were 3 stars, or Kurt Cignetti is just a genius level coach, and it may be a little of both. But what they've done there it's quite incredible, and we've gotten past the point where it's like a funny joke, like, haha, look at this little team that's undefeated and scoring lots of points. Like, dude, they blew out Michigan State.
They're blowing out everybody. None of these
they're
games
blowing out everybody.
Yeah.
They're beating teams by, Ohio State level margins.
Yeah. And their next game this week is at home against Michigan. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Michigan's going to win the game. But that has, look-ahead potential. If you're not paying attention to Indiana, Michigan is a physical team.
Yeah.
You better not.
But the fact that we're talking about look-ahead potential with Indiana
I know.
over Michigan is crazy.
It is. It's nuts. That's the only game that I feel like, if Indiana has a banana peel, that could be it. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but we've seen stranger things this year.
Yeah, but my thing with that is that, like, maybe if Michigan had an offense, but I think, like, Michigan maybe keeps Indiana's offense in check for 3 quarters, and then they just score 21 in the 4th quarter, and then Michigan can't keep up.
Probably so. I'm just sending the warning out there.
Yeah, I just don't think Michigan's defense could probably on the right day keep Indiana in check, but I just don't think Michigan's offense could anywhere keep up with it.
Now, if that game was at Michigan, I might feel a little bit more. It's at Indiana. And then we get to the November 23rd battle against Ohio State. That'll decide who goes to face Oregon.
Yeah. Some other upsets. Texas Tech Red Raiders upset Iowa State. No longer undefeated. The Rocco Becht magic could not save them. It was Rocco Becht threw 2 interceptions. He threw 1 interception. Yeah, it was just kind of a strange game. Like, Iowa State kind of felt out of sync the entire time.
Yeah,
it was just kind of a weird, I don't know. It just felt like a regular Big 12 game where it's like both teams are pretty evenly matched, and just Texas Tech came out on top in the end.
Sure, there was your margin for error for Iowa State. Now you got Kansas. You
got to win out if you want to make the playoff.
Well, you got Kansas, Cincinnati, Utah. Okay, those all should be fairly winnable. And then you get to Kansas State. Okay, there's your game. There it is. Last weekend of the season, Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep.
There's your game. Get you that you basically that's what's gonna put you in the Big 12. And as long as Big 12 is feeling after last weekend, between Iowa State losing, between Kansas State losing, with Colorado sitting at 2 losses, this feels like a 1-bid league. I mean, other than BYU.
Yeah,
BYU
it is a 1-bid league. Yeah.
And I'm not sure BYU, although BYU's strength of schedule is interesting enough. I pulled this up today. Can you tell me what
their strength of record is? Like number 2 in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, let me pull that up because I thought that was really interesting today. Let me pull up what I had.
People have been hating on BYU, but they have a pretty good strength of schedule.
Can you tell me do you know what's ESPN's strength of record on BYU? Can you tell me what it is?
I thought it was like 2nd.
It's 4th. It's ahead of Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and strength of record, by the way, that's the odds of a average top 25 team to have that record against that schedule.
Yeah. So I think the only hope for the Big 12 is BYU to get 2 teams. Is BYU goes undefeated, they get to the championship. One of those other teams wins, and maybe BYU gets into that playoff. If
there's a bid stealer type of situation.
But you're going to have a bunch of 2-loss SEC teams. They're going to be foaming at the mouth.
I think you're going to have a bunch of 3-loss SEC teams. You're assuming that all these 2-loss SEC teams stay 2 losses.
Well, that's true.
We've already gotten to a scenario where there's going to be teams in there that probably don't deserve to be in there because this has been an especially chaotic year. And like,
how about a 9-3 South Carolina team?
I wouldn't want to play them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Heck no.
Can we just talk about that? Anyway.
What the heck happened in South Carolina, in Columbia, man? What happened?
Well, we could not. Last week you were sick. We did not do the huddle last week, but I will tell you, I wrote down my picks, and nobody's going to believe me now because it's after the fact. But that was one of my picks last week. I would have gone hard on that one, and I would told you for the week, I believed 100% with all my heart that South Carolina was going to beat A&M. Was that a beat there?
Yeah, I mean, not a horrible thought process, but
Sellers looked great. I know it was 20 and a half, but South Carolina, I thought when Le'Veon Moss went out, I thought, oh boy, that's wrong. And then South Carolina just completely dominated the second half. That crowd was into it. I love it when Williams-Brice Stadium gets into it at night. That's a fun place.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to go see the night game there.
Dude, I need to go to a South Carolina game, man.
Yeah.
That's got to be on my list. Like, I got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all. So great win for South Carolina. You know, they had that LSU game. I mean, they were just a few points away from being a one-loss team. Or, it's amazing.
Yeah, Shane Beamer, another guy who's played himself off the hot seat.
Yeah, I thought he was toast this year looking at that schedule. And all of a sudden, this team is not a bad. And really, what's scary is that I think they're actually, I didn't think their passing game was that great at the beginning of the year. It keeps improving. They're finding ways to score points.
Yeah, South Carolina is really interesting because in the SEC, there's a lot of teams that are really talented, and South Carolina doesn't have the depth of those other teams. No. But they're starting 22. You've got some top 50 nationwide players in their starting 22.
Yeah,
like Dylan Stewart, like Rocket Sanders,
Lenora Sellers,
They've got they've got dudes, athletes that can really explode in their starting 22. They may not have the depth, but when everybody's healthy and everybody's playing, they can hang with pretty much anyone in the country.
That same A&M defense, which was just tearing up LSU the week before, they couldn't tackle Lenora Sellers. They could not get him down.
Yeah.
It was an amazing game. And, and again, we'll get to playoff scenarios. Let's see how the playoff committee ranks teams this week. Let's talk about that Wednesday night. But I'm real curious to see where South Carolina falls in this mixture. Again, that gets to could you get a 9-3 South Carolina team? Could they get a lot of love down the road if they finish?
Yeah. Speaking of unexpected teams that we could be talking about for playoffs, the Southern Methodist Mustang. Holy cow! Now I did bet SMU when I tweet out my picks because
Millionaires University.
What?
Southern Millionaires University.
Yeah, Southern Millionaires University. Exactly. Did the ACC, let the sheep into the wolf's pen, or let the wolf into the sheep's pen? Because I'm just wondering if SMU has just been sitting there for a long time, and the ACC may come to regret the decision of letting SMU into the conference because they look really good. Pat Narduzzi, known for defense, right? They have a good defense. Pat Narduzzi's physical. He's tough. And SMU obliterated that defense, 48 points. Kevin Jennings he's a real difference maker, legitimate, top 15, top 10, maybe quarterback in the country. And
was there a certain podcaster that seemed to think before the season that this SMU team could be a real decent shot at the ACC?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well,
that was you.
The other thing with SMU is they're home free at this point. They're done.
Oh, they're playing nobody.
They got Boston College, UVA, California, and that's they're done. I mean, now the only thing they went out. They're in the ACC championship. They're in.
Yeah. And are you telling me they can't score with Miami? Oh, they can score with Miami.
They're going to score. That game might be 75.
You want two teams that play no defense and love to just run high tempo, fast pace. That'll be the most fun game I've ever seen. That will be
must see TV. That will be fun. Unlike some of these
Miami, SMU competing for a chance to win a national championship. What is this, 1984?
And you know what? They both might be ranked so high they both might get in anyway.
Yeah, if SMU wins and Miami's undefeated, they're not going to leave out a one-loss Miami, especially with all the chaos going on in the SEC.
No.
That's the problem with the thing with all these multiple loss teams this year is that there are going to be, it leaves open the opportunities for a lot of crazy teams to get in that you would never have thought previously.
But, no, SMU, that's a great story. Again, we keep every week we keep saying these things might happen and these ranked teams lose. So would it shock me if Boston College beats
or Cal?
Maybe not. But you know what? Right now, SMU, they're sitting in the catbird seat. Again, they probably have to win the the ACC, though. They probably can't afford to lose.
They're not getting in as 2 losses.
They're not getting the 2 losses. I mean, they would have to beat Miami. Miami would have to
unless
lose.
some crazy stuff happens. But
we've seen Miami, again, play with their food at times. This week's game, Miami was down, 28-17 in the third quarter, and then proceeded to roll off still covered and still won by 22.
Like 40 points?
Yeah. I mean, there's no team that could score like Miami in the country besides maybe SMU.
No, the best offense in the entire country, Miami. Yeah. Best quarterback, Cam Ward.
I'm not sure they can stop anybody. That's the problem.
Yeah, they got a good front seven, and their secondary is atrocious.
Yeah, they're really strong. Yeah, it was 28-17 with 10 minutes to go in the third, and then next time you look up, it's 53-31.
And then Cam Ward, drank a Monster or a Zoa energy from Dwayne Johnson. It was like, all right, time to go.
He threw for 5 touchdowns, 400 yards. Which leads me to, is he the front runner for the Heisman at this point?
I think so. Yeah, I still think Hunter or Genty, if they had if they rolled off a couple of crazy performances, which both of them have the opportunity to do with their upcoming schedules. And if Cam Ward has like a 4 interception game or something, then yeah, I think Ward's the front runner. But this is by no means locked up.
It's not locked up. Can we have an honest conversation about Travis Hunter for a second? I think it's great that he's playing both ways. And he's a good wide receiver, and he's a good defensive back. But is his whole game built on the fact that he's just playing a lot of snaps? He's not a great defensive back, and he's not the best wide receiver in the country. So we just have a whole entire campaign just been built on the fact that the guy's playing a lot.
Yes, but nobody else has done that.
Well, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't deserve the Heisman. We should give it to an outstanding player.
Yeah, but I mean, that's pretty outstanding. Like, he's a top 10 wide receiver and he's not a top 10 corner?
No. I may be a top corner, but I don't believe that alone.
You don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't.
I don't know.
I just think he's getting a lot of love. And again, I think at the end of the day, Cam Ward's going to win this thing. I think Genty seems to have slowed down his pace, and I don't think, unless he's going to break Barry Sanders, I don't think he's going to win it.
Yeah, and I mean, so I don't know. We'll definitely see. But speaking of Boise State, they dropped 50 on San Diego State.
They did.
Boise
a little bit of that game, and it was over in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're a really good team.
They are.
They're, I think, 12 in the AP poll right now, and I think they're the first group of 5 since Cincinnati to legitimately deserve top 10 consideration.
Well, by default, they're going to keep winning, and everyone else keeps losing, so they're going to get up there.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that Cincinnati team had NFL corners and a good running back. Like they had dudes on that Cincinnati team that deserved that ranking. Cincinnati has dudes on offense. Their defense is okay.
Yeah,
but they got a really good pass catching tight end. I forget his name, but if you notice when he's doing those routes down the center of the field, he's really good. And the thing with Genty is he doesn't even have to get the ball because in order to stop it, you essentially have to put 8 guys in the box. And Madsen, right? He's not like the best quarterback ever, but he can hit wide open players. And if players are going to be open if you want to stop Genty because you have to overload the box.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That combination alone makes Boise a really good team. And I mean, look, if you can hang with Oregon, you can hang with anybody in the country.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'll be hang on and get that spot, but they're not invincible by any means.
No, absolutely. Now, nobody's invincible this year.
Not invincible.
Ooh.
Well, we'll stay in the South. Let's start with Clemson.
Okay.
And I mean, Clemson, come on, you got to do better than that. Now I know it's Louisville. Louisville actually is one of these teams that, I mean, their losses are to Notre Dame.
I think Louisville's a good team.
I think Louisville's probably probably the best 3-loss team in the country if you really break it down. They've lost to Notre Dame.
Maybe South Carolina.
Both those teams, I think, are pretty good teams. One of their losses are Notre Dame, and Miami.
SMU.
Yeah, I mean, look at they've lost 3 top 10 teams. I mean,
okay, yeah.
And I think Jeff Brom's a good coach, and they just flat took it to Clemson. I mean, that wasn't a close contest. He outcoached Jeff Brom outcoached Dabo. They just Clemson was coming off a break. I don't understand that game. And Dabo, that was a mistake, not going for 2. Not that it ended up mattering, but boy, you can't make those decisions. That's a mess.
How do you not have like an intern with a drive chart that tells you when not to go for 2? Like,
I don't know. So can I throw out a crazy idea?
Always. I love crazy ideas.
I know Jeff Brom's a Louisville grad. But man, he would make a great University of Florida head coach.
He's not leaving Louisville. Look, it's the same reason Mario left Oregon for Miami.
Do you know Jeff Brom has the best record against teams that are ranked higher than him since 2018 as a coach? Something like that. I heard the stat. Like
Brom for Penn State.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. He's just saying, I know he's a Louisville guy, but can you bring the bag? Can you bring the bag, Florida? Just drop it off at Brom's house. The man could take your talent and beat your team. He could take your talent and beat your own team. I mean, he is a good coach.
Yeah, he's one of the highest like plus value added game day coaches of anybody in the country. Like he may be the best game day coach.
What's that? The old Bum Phillips coach. He could take urine and beat hism. He could take hism and beat urine. That's the old Texan Bum Phillips coach used to make that. Well, he could take your guys and beat your guys and beat his guys. He could make his guys and beat your guys, and you take your guys and beat his guys. So,
I mean, Brom could probably do that. Yeah. So
for class and coaching and Clemson trouble. They need SMU to lose. They need.
I think they're done. Like I don't think SMU or SMU's losing.
Yeah, and I don't think a 2-loss Clemson team's getting in over some of those 2-loss SEC teams.
Nope. They're going to have a really heartfelt Citrus Bowl win, though, or they're going to play really hard.
Can't spell citrus without CU.
And nobody's going to opt out,
and
they're going to play really hard. They're going to get really excited for next year. And, that'll be something.
Well, while we're staying down there, let's go down a few more miles further down the state, another state called Georgia. And they were playing in the greatest cocktail party down in Jacksonville. And I'm going to tell you what. If DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, they're losing that game. Georgia.
Yeah. Does Georgia have a Carson Beck problem?
Well, they have an interception problem.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm so sick of Georgia fans complaining about Bobo's offense. Bobo's a prominent offense. I don't be some of the problem. It isn't a Bobo problem at this point. Yes, Monken may have been better as the OC. Maybe. Let's give him that. But it's a Carson Beck problem at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he is throwing, what is this? Is this his 3rd game in a row with multiple interceptions? 3rd or 4th?
I think it's his 4th, yeah.
Yeah. You can't keep doing that. You can't if you're the best team in the country, suppose, or one of the best teams in the country. I mean, there was
that's the thing. Nobody's the best team in the country. Like, everybody's flawed. Like, that's this year. There are no elite teams.
Well, Oregon may be elite. But if you're Georgia...
Oregon was, like, tied with Idaho earlier in the season. Like, they're not incapable of losing.
Yeah, but that was, as a team gets better...
They were injured, I know.
They were also injured, too. I mean, but Georgia...
Yeah, but, like, even so...
Georgia has no excuse that game. They have more talent than Florida. They came in, and Beck kept Florida in the game, but kept throwing interceptions. Georgia's defense looked like it didn't care at times. I don't know what is going on down there.
Here's something that I noticed during the game that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is Beck's throwing these interceptions. Why don't you just put your foot in the ground and run the ball? And they just they weren't able to run the ball. Where is the Georgia run game going? That's something that like just completely disappeared
We
off the
talked
face of the
about
earth.
that a
Like
week or two
if you're
ago.
having, if you're having a quarterback problem, and it reoccurred to me during this game, if you're having a quarterback problem with these interceptions, just put your foot in the ground and run the ball. Your dudes are bigger than their dudes. You should be able to move the ball. It should be that simple of an equation.
Jay.
And I don't know what it is. Do they just not have the guys on the offensive line? Like, were all their 5-stars busts? Like, do they not? Is it, again, coming back to this, I mentioned, like, maybe like week 3 or something. Is there like some sort of culture problem at Georgia? Like, there's been a lot of issues. I don't know.
Whatever it
I'm
is,
not inside that program.
Now, when you get Georgia at its best, like you did in the Texas game, they're the best in the country.
But even at their best, Carson Beck is not good.
No, and even the Texas game, you threw 3 interceptions, if you remember.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like at their best, their defense is amazing. But even at their best, Carson Beck is not good.
Yeah, and let me tell you what, that team that played against Florida, against the Florida's third-string quarterback, Florida was still in that game with 5 minutes to go. I mean, they went down the field, scored. Florida's tied up that ball game, and it took. Now Georgia came back, scored a touchdown, and then the third-string quarterback Warner threw a pick 6. Okay,
yeah,
or didn't throw a pick 6. Was it a pick 6, or he just threw it down? They got down to the 10. Or
yeah.
That Georgia team isn't going to win 3 playoff games in a row. They're
not beating Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're not going to beat Ole Miss next week. So I mean, they got to fix this quickly. Are they the national champion? Yes, but man, I don't know what's going on down there. I mean, that's crazy.
But I feel like there's like 9 teams on the right week that are capable of being national champions this year, which is a lot more than normal.
Which is what's going to make this whole tournament crazy, because it's going to feel like
somebody's going to beat somebody that they shouldn't beat.
Yeah, and then they're going to turn around the next week and they're going to lose,
and then immediately lose. Yeah.
It's going to be the team. It's just going to be a war of attrition to get to the end. And can you survive in advance? Just like
can you not lose to somebody that you shouldn't?
Yeah. You had to feel sorry for the Florida Gators, because I think they really were ready to play that game. I think they appeared ready to actually, the first time I think in Billy Napier's tenure, to win that game. And you felt bad for him. As soon as DJ goes out, you realize they're playing with nothing at that point.
He got carted off. Is he done for the year?
Well, no. Interesting enough, today, if you look, Napier issued comments today that it's a soft tissue issue. Bad as they originally thought. There's a chance he could even go this weekend. Now,
really? Okay.
Their evaluation later in the week. I don't know if he's going to go this week, but there's a better chance or not that he may be able to go for their 2 home games against LSU and Ole Miss. Now, they play against Texas this week. Chance of beating Texas anyway, probably not really good. But I think they really would like to have him at home against LSU and Ole Miss, because I think they could probably beat Ole Miss at home. I don't think they think that I think on the road, I don't think they feel like they have much of a shot against Texas, but I bet they think they could beat Ole Miss.
Yeah, I agree.
Ole Miss, LSU, I'm sorry. Certainly LSU, and maybe Ole Miss. Who knows?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Where do you want to go next?
Well, let's see. We talked about that. I did not get to see my favorite team, the Syracuse Orange, play. What did they do on Saturday?
Why is that your favorite team?
Well, what did they do? Did you see the results? I didn't see what happened to them.
Yeah, they Virginia Tech.
Yeah. They beat Virginia Tech.
VPISU managed to lose to Syracuse.
Man, not the best teams in the country. At least so I was told.
It's the whole old adage of, is returning starters good if the starters aren't good?
Yeah. Weren't they up 21-3, Virginia Tech?
I mean, look, some of this is like Syracuse isn't an awful team. But I will always be happy at Tech's downfall. So
yeah. Well, it was always nice to see Tech getting up 21-3 and blowing that lead. So anyway, I just thought we had to mention that on the podcast here. So
yeah.
How about the Kentucky-Tennessee game? I didn't get a chance to get much eyes on this one.
Yeah, so it was pretty close in like the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee, I guess, pulled away. I didn't get much eyes in this one either. From what the stat line, it looks like Nico played pretty well, but I don't know.
This is another team where I just look at it and I kind of shake my head going, okay, yeah, I looked at the stats and I read kind of some stuff about it.
292 yards,
yeah,
one touchdown. 28 for 38. Pretty good by Nico by any standard.
Yeah, but this is a Kentucky team that's just got beat by Auburn and Florida on back-to-back weeks. Why is Tennessee fooling around with this? I mean, Tennessee, you should win this game by 30.
Because there are no elite.
Yes. The theme. It's a theme.
It's the theme of the year.
Yeah.
There are no elite. It's like I forget what I was going to make a reference, but it's gone now.
Well, the big winners on Saturday were Alabama and Colorado because they didn't play.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know who else is a big winner from Saturday? And I again, sorry to our listener, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Oh.
Diego Pavia, the legend. The legend continues. Congrats to the Vanderbilt they're going bowling. Like that's amazing story. And I like Diego Pavia. I like Vanderbilt. They're fun story. I would really love it for them to upset one more like high and mighty SEC team before the year's out, and I wouldn't put it past them. But
Nacho man, we suck.
Y'all do suck. It is an unfortunate fact of life that Auburn is Clemson without a lake.
Because I happened to be at this game on Saturday, so the huddle was partially.
Give me your take. I didn't get a ton of eyes on it.
Well, I think I texted you. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result. The offense for Auburn, I mean, you come on. They knew what was going to happen. Peyton Thorne, it was too predictable. I don't know what was happening. They did run in Hunter in the second half. I can't figure out if he was injured or whatnot. They don't have a quarterback. Auburn doesn't have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback, you can't win ball games. And they got so conservative. Either you don't trust Thorne to throw the ball, or it just
I don't.
Well, and I guess neither does Hugh Freeze because they just didn't throw the ball. They don't even give Cam Coleman the ball or try to throw it to him. Dumb penalties killed them on some drives, allowed Vanderbilt to continue to keep drives alive, and that was it. I mean, you give up 17 points, and you expect your defense should be able to score enough points to win ball games.
Here's an interesting question: is Diego Pavia the best quarterback in the SEC?
Dart may be the best.
Jackson Dart, you're right. Sorry, he's the second best. Which is crazy because how many teams, if Diego Pavia went on their team, would be immediately better? Like,
a lot. He was in the portal.
And he was in the portal, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
some of these teams, the portal scouting was not up tier, or they're like New Mexico, it's not good enough. And I guess Milrow's probably better than him, although I don't know.
Like, maybe.
But, like, if Auburn had Diego Pavia, if you're Hugh Freeze and you played Diego Pavia last year, how do you not offer him more than Vanderbilt? You saw him play. You know he's good. He beat you last year, and he went in the portal. And how did you not offer him?
Hey, not only that, my kind of thing. Diego Pavia beat Hugh Freeze at Liberty in his last year at Liberty.
Yeah, you've seen him play twice.
Yeah.
He was in the portal.
Yeah.
You needed a quarterback. He couldn't have been that expensive. He went to Vanderbilt. Like, drop. I guess because he stayed with his offensive coordinator, who went to Vanderbilt also. But if you drop, $800K, like, is he really going to say no?
Big mistake that Auburn offseason was not investing in a quarterback, because I think they're at least 2 victories away. It's cost them at least 2 victories this year, and that's cost them a bowl game. And that's going to when we start our podcast, for the previews for next season, Hugh Freeze is going to be in the hot seat. He's recalled for next year, and that's the difference. That is. His record is exactly the same as Harson's at this point. The only difference is his recruiting classes are significantly better. But that's not going to save him next year.
Him, though?
He's got to win 8 games next year, or he's going to be he may be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. And they got to go out and drop the bag and get a quarterback.
They need to,
because you don't have time to trust a true freshman or whoever is behind.
Well, no, it's going to be Deuce Knight.
Brown.
Deuce Knight.
Do you think it's Deuce Knight? Is he good enough? Like, you trust that to a true freshman?
He's moved up to a 5-star, I think, on On3's ratings. I think he's definitely. I mean, he has. I think he's got the potential. And look, and I'll use Florida's example this year. You look at. I mean, when DJ Lagway's in there, he's electric at times. Now he's making mistakes. I think Auburn could live with something like that. Somebody who's making mistakes but electric.
Yeah,
you could. I mean, you talk to Florida fans, and when he's on the field, everybody in the stands is excited when DJ's playing, and they see him throw a stupid interception, like, oh, great. Oh, well, that's okay. he makes so many great plays. I was like, yes, that's what you need next year. You need.
I mean, look at Miami.
Yeah,
Cam Ward is like that.
Yeah, you just need hope next year. So I'm not even so certain. I mean, you probably do get a veteran quarterback, but if you start the freshman and he's exciting and he's not terrible, I don't know, but he's going to go get a veteran, I'm sure. But who do you get? We have plenty of time in the offseason.
Who knows he'll be on the market.
Yeah, we'll look in the offseason. We'll have. I'm sure we'll have a podcast devoted to this. So,
congrats to Minnesota beating Illinois. Throw the vote, man.
Yep.
The Golden Gophers are not a horrible team this year. I don't know if you noticed, but they beat USC. They beat Minnesota, Illinois. Like they didn't they almost should have beat Michigan? Maybe.
Probably.
Or did they beat Michigan?
Didn't they beat Michigan?
They might have beaten
Michigan. It's hard to keep track anymore.
Yeah. Or no, they almost beat USC and they did beat Michigan.
They almost beat
right?
Michigan. They beat USC and then they beat USC. Yeah, they won 4 in a row, and all of a sudden, another coach which I thought was going to be in the hot seat. They're 6-3 overall, which is they're going bowling.
Yeah, so maybe he's rode his way off the hot seat there.
Yeah,
in Minnesota. But
all right. Well, what else? What else we got to talk about as a cover of the week? Anything?
Ole Miss obliterated Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's a good get back game for them. Jackson Dart threw for like 8,000 passing yards. What was it? 515 yards, 16 yards per attempt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
6 touchdowns, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, Ole Miss is good offense. Shocker.
Yeah,
but
their season
can they do it?
Got to beat Georgia. Got to beat Georgia.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Can you do it against the top teams, which has always been the critique of the Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss?
Yep.
Is that because if you go lose a third time, you're not making the playoff.
No.
And the Grove Collective is going to be real pissed, and Lane Kiffin is going to be introduced as the next head coach of Florida. So, but no, more seriously, like they put a lot of money into this year at Ole Miss, and they're going to be really unhappy if they're not in the playoff.
That is correct. This was playoffs or bust, and it's you lose Saturday and it's a bust.
Yeah. So, Kansas State also lost. Throwing that out there to Houston, which is a really bad loss, bad
Houston's
loss.
won 4 in a row. Willie Fritz has turned that program around already in year 1.
I guess, but look who is the 4 in a row that they've played, right?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you say it's a bad loss, but I think Houston's a much better team right now than they were earlier in the year. Don't take Houston for granted.
They won 4 in a row.
I thought they've won 4 in a row.
They won 2 in a row.
Okay. Well, I think
lost to Kansas. They lost to Kansas. It was win at TCU, lost to Kansas, win at Utah, win Kansas State.
Okay. Well, they won a couple in a row. I mean,
they beat Rice earlier in the year. That's their 4 wins.
Okay. Well, Houston's already a little bit better than last year.
They are a little better, but still, if you're Kansas State, you can't be losing that.
No, but Kansas State's a bad road team, so that's been their downfall.
Okay, but you gotta win.
I understand.
Yeah, I understand, but it's not like Houston's the most intimidating road environment.
Be careful. Baylor's headed down there in a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually secretly nervous about that. Don't get me started.
I know. That's why I said
I'm actually real nervous. But anyway, yeah, Kansas State, their only way now to get in the playoff is to be a bid stealer. They have to beat Iowa State and then win the Big 12 and get in as a 2-loss team.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way to do that. It would be interesting little nugget if they get in as a bid stealer. Are they the odd one looking out and Boise State's the 4 seed? 1 loss Boise or 2 loss Kansas State? That would be an interesting debate to have because Kansas State would have, I don't know. It would be an interesting thought process.
Yeah, we'll get to our first kind of thought.
Colorado got the win, or no? They were off this week, right?
They were off.
Who got? Wait, no. Army won without their starting quarterback. I think he's out with illness. But yeah, no. Baylor rivalry champions. It is not called the Blue Bonnet Battle. I don't want to ever hear any of that crap. We won the rivalry, and man, that was a great victory. Dave Aranda. I'm back on the Dave Aranda train. I can't wait to see Baylor next year, because they're going to be one of those teams where everyone's going to be like, oh, they're going to be good next year. So, Sawyer Robinson, elite. Get that man an NIL bag after this season, Sawyer Robinson.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
That's probably
about all my thoughts.
Yep, that's all I've got. We're going to get together back Wednesday night, 2 days from now. We're going to break down the first football playoff, first 12-team college football playoff rankings. We'll break that down, and then we'll break down this coming weekend and talk about some of the big matchups, including the Ole Miss, Georgia, and some of the other matchups coming up this weekend. So we're in the home stretch. Got a few more weekends, and Thanksgiving's bearing down on us, and got to enjoy all the games we have left. So 3-4 more really good weekends.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter, where we live stream it at Real Hopster on Twitter, at The Hoppy Huddle on YouTube. Really appreciate everybody tuning in to watch. And good night, Greenland.
Good night, Adley.